politics with the new political reality here in Washington after last night's election. Well, the relationship to watch here is the one between President Obama and the incoming Republican Speaker of the House, John Boehner. To push his agenda forward, to keep the confidence of his supporters, each man will need the cooperation of the other. So will they surprise us with an unlikely partnership? Or is Pennsylvania Avenue going to be once again a partisan free fire zone? The wave crashed across the country last night, turning dozens of blue congressional districts red and launching a few Tea Partiers into the Senate.
We've come to take our government back.
And so this morning, Washington woke up to a new reality: Speaker Boehner.
Last night, the president was kind enough to call me. We discussed working together on the American people's priorities.
Working together, that's the challenge ahead for these two very different men. Men who've proved themselves to be canny and skilled politicians, now thrown together at the pinnacle of American power.
When you're in this place, it is hard not to seem removed.
President Obama today seemed chastened, aware that the wave that made John Boehner Speaker carried a message for him. And he clearly wanted to say he got the message.
This is something that I think every president needs to go through. Now, I'm not recommending for every future president that they take a shellacking like I did last night. I'm sure there are easier ways to learn these lessons.
Right now, it might seem Boehner has the upper hand, with scores of new Republican members in the House eager to confront Obama. And the new speaker made clear today he's game.
Listen, I believe that the health care bill that was enacted by the current Congress will kill jobs in America, ruin the best health care system in the world, and bankrupt our country.
But a lot of those new Republicans might be hard to keep in line.
Boehner's own relationship with his caucus is going to be fascinating to watch as well, because there are so many new members. I heard today that 25%, quarter of the caucus, the Republican caucus, is new. And by new, many of them are first-time candidates, have never done anything like this before. So they're new to the legislative process as well as new to Washington.
So what can get done in this new, even more partisan political environment? Well, previous presidents have taken shellackings.
It was a thumping.
George W. Bush in 2006, Bill Clinton in 1994.
We were held accountable yesterday, and I accept my share of the responsibility in the result of the elections.
And Ronald Reagan and Franklin Roosevelt and plenty more. The key for the country is what comes next. And the key to that, in part, lies in this new dynamic, this new relationship. For months, however, the two men have been swinging away at each other on the campaign trail.
Listen, I don't think the president and his economic team get it.
The Republican leader, Mr. Boehner, said this reform was like employing nuclear weapons to kill an ant, he said. An ant. That's what he called what we just went through.
It's so interesting because sometimes you have relationships that can be incredibly hostile on paper and very friendly in fact.
My ABC colleague, Cokie Roberts, has covered Washington for decades. Cokie says it can work. Just look at how Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill, conservative Republican president and liberal Democratic speaker, got along.
And part of that was that they were both Irishmen who were of a similar age. They grew up in a similar era. They recognized each other's stories, and they enjoyed each other's company. I don't think that's true at all of John Boehner and Barack Obama. I think that each finds the other somewhat unrecognizable.
John Boehner grew up a working-class kid in southern Ohio, one of 12 brothers and sisters, all living in a two-bedroom home. His dad owned a tavern. The future Speaker of the House started working there when he was 8, sweeping the floor. His sister still works behind the bar.
I think he's a rich guy. He's got this tan, goes to a tanning bed, and plays golf all the time, goes to the country club. That's not John Boehner.
And as he spoke about all that last night, the buttoned-down John Boehner wept.
I started out mopping floors, waiting tables, and tending bar at my dad's tavern. I put myself through school, working every rotten job there was, and in every night shift I could find.
President Obama talked about his upbringing today, too. His single mom, an anthropologist who traveled the world, his grandparents who helped raise him. And he said he thinks the American people can relate to his life, too.
The values of hard work and responsibility and honesty and looking out for one another that had been instilled in them by their parents, those were the same values that I took from my mom and my grandparents.
The president and the incoming speaker share some interests. They're both golfers, and they both were or are smokers, but with very different attitudes.
Have I fallen off the wagon sometimes? Yes. Am I a daily smoker, a constant smoker? No. I don't do it in front of my kids. I don't do it in front of my family. And, you know, I would say that I am 95% cured, but there are times where I mess up.
It's something that I choose to do, and at some point, maybe I'll decide I've had enough of it.
So, given all their differences, can they do business? That first one-on-one meeting between the President of the United States and the new Speaker of the House, how does that go?
Do they just eye each other warily and sort of say, look, I know we have to do this, so let's get it out of the way. I don't like you, you don't like me, we don't agree. Shake hands, go out the door. Or do they say, look, I really do think I'm willing to put something on the table right here and say, you're right, this stuff, I can move on. This stuff I can't.
What's working in favor of them working together is the fact that independent voters are just swinging wildly back and forth. And John Boehner is a smart politician, and he understands that he took advantage of that last night, but 2 years from now, they could swing right back to the Democrats where they were 2 years ago.
In this relationship, the personal is always political.